Hello, my fishing family. Hope we're all doing well. This series, proper excited to get out to you, especially if you're new to fishing, because I think if you can take a few pointers away from these episodes, it's going to help you in the long run. So this is video 1, and it's all about wind direction. Okay, wind direction. Why is it important, first of all? Well, there's an old saying, wind from the west, the fish bite best. Wind from the east, the fish bite least. And my many years of time on the bank, I can say that's pretty much bang on. 99.9% of the time. Try to add an extra 9 in there. Anyway, so let's go into it. So obviously we all know the directions, right? North, south, east, west. And let's delve right into this one. So, my favourite wind. Someone put a gun to my head saying, James, what's your favourite wind direction? It has to be west. Why west? Usually that coincides with low pressure, which means rain. My favourite thing is in the morning to open them curtains and see a real moody sky chucking it down. Now, fair weather anglers, you're probably going, are you crazy? Probably a little bit. But let me tell you why I think a wet westerly wind is so important. So it touches on air pressure, which will be another video in this section. So I don't want to delve too deeply. But generally low pressure means fish will sit lower, and it does have an effect on their gallbladder. So I'll go into more detail in that video. But let's focus on that lovely westerly wind. Bringing that lovely pressure, weather systems in. Lots of wet weather, I believe. Especially if we're talking about carp fishing, which is generally the most popular these days, let's face it, is going to have a real good impact on your fishing. So, westerly wind. If you haven't seen it, check out my video. And my good friend Carl and I went to Linear Fisheries. You'll see, if you watch that video, you'll see, especially when I had my first fish, my hair was down here, it was soaked. You'll see that rain, but you'll see that wind is whipping right into our bank. And I caught most of my fish down in the margins there. And if you get somewhere, especially between the times of, say, spring and autumn, you want to be tucked down that bank. Why? Westerly wind, especially if you've got a real strong wind, what that's going to do is put plenty of oxygen in the water from either directions, and I'll go into that later, but it's going to put plenty of oxygen in the water, but it's going to be churning that bank up as well. So any naturals, any piles of silt that are harbouring stuff like bloodworm, that's all going to get churned up, which is going to be a natural bait attractant to the carp that are pushing by. And I believe westerly and southerly winds, the fish will be on the opposite bank. So if there's a westerly wind, you want to be on the east bank. Southerly wind, you want to be on the north bank. They will patrol them banks more often. Now, again, it's not a complete science, all this. I just want to give you pointers that if you turn up to a lake and it's rammed of anglers, you haven't got that time, that ability to be able to look around and choose your swim because of fish feeding activity like fizzing or rolling or boshing, then you can utilise this and go, what did that guy at Morefish Mission say? He said, okay, if there's a westerly wind, fish the east bank. So that's my favourite wind. And something that would really get me going before I go fishing. Oh, least favourite. Oh, what do we do? So least favourites. Got to be north and east. East just hits that. Again, wind from the east, fish bite least, right? So what do? You're going to say to me, James, like, I've got a wife, I've got kids, I've got 3 dogs, I've got a goat farm. What? My weekends are precious. I can't just not go. Like, I can't control the weather. Like you're some magician. Right. Change. No, of course you can't. So what happens if you go and it's not a favourable wind? Well, especially in the colder months, you want to be fishing either the north or east bank. So northerly wind, you want to try and get on that northern bank. Easterly wind, you want to get on the easterly bank, right? Eastern bank. Why? Because the wind will have less impact on that body of water, and you'll notice, especially if you're fishing a lake that maybe is exposed, but by the bank there, and I would be, if it's warm enough and you feel that the fish will be pushing around the margins, I would be down down off the marginal shelf, basically, because they'll probably patrol. They might come back and forward along these banks because they don't typically like to follow their wind. Again, take all this with somewhat of a pinch of salt, because it's fishing. It's about as predictable as choosing the winning lottery numbers, you know. There's so many elements, but again, I just want to give people, especially people new to fishing, a little bit of an insight of what I and many anglers actually believe in. So like I say, don't panic if you're going when it's an unfavourable wind. Just make sure you're fishing tight to that bank, yeah? So, but when it comes to a west or south wind, you want to be fishing the opposite, especially in the warmer months. You want to be, you know, I ain't got to tell you where to cast your lines, but I'm a great believer in margins, me. I would, if it was really coming in, you know, like almost like, you know, down at your local seaside, that's really bolting in, I would be getting down there. Why? Again, that part of the lake or body of water is going to be so rich in oxygen, and it's going to stir up them naturals. That's going to be like, you know, you putting in a kilo of feed, a kilo of bait, but naturally, because, and what do the fish love to eat? Naturals. You know, they're wise things, you know, they will hone in on them naturals. So again, you know, just take them pointers. You know, always, if you've got the benefit of time in an empty lake, look for fish signs. But if you can't see anything, there's certainly, you know, what to look for and what I would personally do. Exceptions to the rule. Yes. I touched on it earlier, but yes, there's always exceptions. So let's take our mind back to, what was it, summer of 2020, when pretty much the whole of the UK was bathed in sunshine. What a time to be off work. Yeah, pretty much bathed in sunshine, very little wind. So say, for instance, you're going fishing for the weekend and it has been like that. It's been high pressure, sunny, and you've got, say, an easterly wind, which is, again, a less favourable wind. And that is whipping in. That's Storm Bertie, or whatever they call them these days for each. And that is really whipping the top of that water. Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. A, if it's been mega hot, it's going to cool the water down slightly. But B, again, it's going to get that oxygen level up. It's going to get the fish moving. And moving fish are feeding fish. So there's always exceptions to every rule, of course, in life. Isn't that life, guys and girls? So yeah, don't beat yourself up. I appreciate people that have got a limited time to go fishing. If you can take a few things away, great. If it has helped, please do pop a comment in, because I want to know if I'm reaching the right people and whether it is actually helping people, because, you know, I want to move forward and give as many hints and tips as I can throughout the, you know, fishing spectrum. But really appreciate you stopping by. Check out my channel if you haven't already. Might get a few more tips and a few in sessions as well. But for now, tight lines and good luck on your next session.